Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rob Sutton with Bike 198, and today I'm going to make the argument that the dropper post is quite possibly the best advancement in bike technology than we've ever seen in mountain biking. Let's play just a little bit of a game. So if you were at your local downhill track and you saw this bike, what would you say? Or how about your local BMX pump track? Or even just a funnier one, what about if you're out on a dirt bike course and you saw this? So guys, I know these are extreme exaggerations and they're kind of meant to be a little bit, but here's the point. Why do we have our saddles so high to begin with? And that is because our bodies are the motor. We are unique in mountain biking where we have the same characteristics of dirt bikes, downhill riding, and other disciplines, but we have to climb to get to where we're going. So we have the saddle up at the exact height we need for the most efficient climbing we can get. So guys, there are several fundamental reasons why we actually need this saddle down and out of the way when we ride. First off, proper turning. I don't know if you noticed, but when you watch professional downhillers or enduro racers, when they are getting down into low section turns, they really need the bike to be able to move back and forth underneath them to get the proper balance and the most grip. If you have your saddle up in between your legs, you can't really get down on the bike like you need to, so you end up coming in too high or washing out from going too low and not being able to move your body position. So it's ideal to be able to have your body position, be able to move back and forth on this bike so that you can actually turn it correctly and get the most out of your tires and suspension when you're going into a turn. And then the second one, which is actually one of my favorites. It's weighting and unweighting the bike. When you're out on a mountain biking trail, there's a lot of different things that are hitting this bike, trying to make all the components work together, whether it be your tires, suspension, and other components. So being able to push down on the bike and weight it down or unweight it to get up and over obstacles is crucial. And if you have the seat all the way up in a position where you cannot do that properly, it really hinders your ability to work with the suspension and the tires of the bike to get the best grip and downhill the fastest. There are a lot of times where you can kind of feel like the trail is riding you instead of you riding the trail. And having the seat down and out of the way of the bike allows for a lot more body positions and the ability to get lower down on the bike and really press it into the trail and give you that added grip and control that you wouldn't get otherwise if you had this seat all the way up. And then the third one, which is probably the most important one, is that this saddle height comes to the exact spot that you have your bike fit every single time. I see the argument a lot of times of I can just use a quick release and put the seat down if I want to, but then you're not bringing the saddle straight up to the exact position that you need for optimal climbing. With a dropper post, you're able to drop it, get it out of the way, and then with a push of a button, you are in peak climbing position. You also find that when you use a dropper post, you end up putting your saddle down a lot more, even for just little short sections, because you don't have to worry about stopping, putting your seat down, then stopping again to pull it back up. You end up able to use it a lot more and gain more control over the bike because you don't have to worry about stopping or bringing the saddle up to the exact right position for the next climb. And then the fourth one's kind of an obvious one. It allows you to get your weight all the way back on the bike for really steep technical sections. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but if you ever had your seat all the way up before dropper post and leaned all the way back and then hit the back of the saddle on the way back up, it's not very comfortable. So it allows you to have a lot more control over the bike when you hit these really steep sections, that you're able to get your weight back over the back tire, take it down safely, and then put the seat back up again when you get back into the flats and the climbs. And then the fifth one is just kind of rolling all of these together, and that is just greater control of the bike. When you add all of these things together, you're having a better experience out on the trail and you have a lot more control of your bike because you're not limited by the fact that the saddle is up in between your legs, allowing you only several inches of movement back and forth. So getting the seat down and out of the way just helps you be a better rider and work more with your bike and the trail instead of being limited in position by having it all the way up in between your legs. Now I can already feel it. Some of you guys are down there typing about how you don't need one, and I'm gonna go through some of those common complaints as well. First off, the one I hear the most is the increased weight. While this might have been true back in the day when I was running dropper posts that contained magnets, springs, and a bunch of other stuff, the dropper posts today are a lot lighter than they used to be in the past. So you really don't notice the increased weight as much as you would have with some of the older designs. The other thing is when you get the saddle down and on the frame, you actually lower the center of gravity of the bike itself. So it gives the bike more control instead of having the saddle way up in the air, the farthest away from the trail and the cranks. So even if you add just a little bit of weight with a dropper post, you're actually gaining more control of the bike by lowering the center of gravity. And then the second one, the reliability of dropper posts. And again, this used to be a very valid argument back in the day. The gravity dropper that I used to run that had magnets and a spring would fail at times and would have to be adjusted, and it'd be really annoying out on the trail because it wouldn't actually stay up all the way. That's really not the case anymore. These are made a lot better than they were in the past, and you don't have to worry as much about these failing on the trail. It's basically just like any other component on the bike at this point. So while that was a very valid argument in the past, I don't see it as much now because we just don't run into those issues nearly as often. And then the third one, clutter on the bars. You don't want to add another lever that you have to worry about on the bars themselves. And this was a big deal when we still ran front derailleurs. It made for a weird positioning on the left-hand side to actually have the switch for the dropper post. But now that we've basically eliminated front derailleurs from our lives, there's a wide open space on the left-hand side that you add the lever, and it's actually less cluttered than having a 2-button lever that, like you had with the front derailleur. And then my favorite excuse, which I've heard all the time, is I'm just as fast as my friends that have one, so I don't need one. Which is really kind of a lame excuse. One, we're not getting paid to ride, so not really worried about that so much. And two, all of the benefits that you actually get from having a dropper post on your bike would make you better, faster, and more controlled if you actually gave it a chance. So for guys that actually use that line, it's kind of a laugh, because if you're actually going to live by that theory, you shouldn't be riding suspension, clipless pedals, hydraulic brakes, anything else that has advanced bike tech and made you a better rider. The dropper post is just one more on that list that you need to try out and start getting used to. So guys, that's why I feel the dropper post is the biggest innovation in bike technology. It has allowed us to ride our bikes in a different way that they are actually meant to be ridden. So guys, hit up the comment section, let me know what you think. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of opinions about this. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to Bike 118 for more reviews like this in the future. Until then, on to the next one. Thanks guys, see ya.